United transfer U-turn as bombshell update emerges. Manchester United transfer news as Benjamin Sesko makes a shock decision on his next transfer. Benjamin Sesko has decided to reject Manchester United and join Newcastle United this summer, according to a report in Slovenia. The RB Leipzig striker is at the centre of a two-way transfer battle between United and Newcastle. The 22-year-old was previously at the top of Arsenal's transfer striker radar, but Mikel Arteta's men opted to sign Viktor Gyökeres. United and Newcastle are both in the market for a new striker after missing out on previous targets. Ruben Amorim has missed out on Liam Delap and Gyökeres this summer, and it's understood that Sesko is now their priority target. Previously, it was claimed that the Leipzig ace's preference was a move to Old Trafford, but that stance seems to have changed. Slovenian newspaper Delo claimed late on Friday night that Newcastle have managed to convince Sesko to reject United and move to St James Park. The report adds that the Magpies' proposal has successfully won Sesko over. Sky Germany had previously suggested that United was Sesko's priority. However, the recent update coming out of the striker's homeland suggests that the Reds are facing the prospect of missing out on another priority target. Newcastle are desperate to sign a new striker after missing out on Hugo Ekitike to Liverpool. There is also strong interest from the Premier League champions for Alexander Isak, with an opening bid being launched. Isak is understood to be pushing for a move and is currently training alone at former club Real Sociedad after pulling out of their pre-season tour. For United, should Sesko move to Newcastle, Ollie Watkins is expected to emerge as the priority. Has Benjamin Sesko just delivered a shocking blow to Manchester United? Picture this: you're a Manchester United fan, and you've been following your team's search for a new striker all summer. You've watched them miss out on target after target. Then, just when it looks like they might finally land their man, everything changes overnight. Sound familiar? Well, that's exactly what might be happening with Benjamin Sesko right now. The 22-year-old Slovenian striker has become the centre of one of the most talked about transfer battles this summer. And if recent reports are true, Manchester United fans might be in for another heartbreak. Manchester United's striker problem. Let's be honest, Manchester United have had a striker problem for quite some time now. When you look at their current options, it's clear why they are so desperate to bring in someone new. The Red Devils have been linked with numerous strikers over the past few months. Remember Liam Delap? He ended up staying put. What about Viktor Gyökeres? Arsenal swooped in and signed him instead. It's been one disappointment after another for United fans. Manager Ruben Amorim knows that without a reliable goalscorer, his team will struggle to compete for the top prizes. That's why Sesko became their number one target. The young Slovenian seemed like the perfect fit: young, talented, and available. But here's where things get interesting. Just when United thought they had their man, Newcastle United entered the picture. Newcastle's ambitious plans. Newcastle United aren't the same club they were a few years ago. With new ownership and big ambitions, they are looking to establish themselves among England's elite clubs. And that means they need top-quality players. Like United, Newcastle have been searching for a striker who can take them to the next level. They've got the money to compete with the biggest clubs, and they are not afraid to use it. The Magpies see Sesko as a player who could be the face of their project for years to come. At 22, he fits perfectly with their long-term vision. But could they really convince him to choose St James Park over Old Trafford? The transfer battle heats up. For weeks, it seemed like Manchester United had the upper hand in the race for Sesko's signature. Reports from Germany suggested that the player preferred a move to Old Trafford. Sky Germany, a reliable source for transfer news, indicated that United was Sesko's priority. This made sense for several reasons. Manchester United is one of the biggest clubs in the world. They have history, tradition, and global recognition that few clubs can match. For a young player like Sesko, the chance to play at Old Trafford would be a dream come true. But football transfers are never straightforward, are they? The Slovenian bombshell. Then came Friday night, and everything changed. Slovenian newspaper Delo dropped a bombshell that nobody saw coming. According to their report, Benjamin Sesko has decided to reject Manchester United and join Newcastle United instead. This wasn't just a small rumor or speculation. The report claimed that Newcastle's proposal had successfully won Sesko over. In other words, the Magpies had managed to convince the striker that their project was more attractive than what United could offer. But how could this happen? How could Newcastle convince a player to turn down Manchester United? What could Newcastle have offered? If the reports are true, what exactly did Newcastle put on the table that Manchester United couldn't match? Money is the obvious answer. Newcastle's owners have deep pockets, and they are not afraid to spend big to attract top talent. They could have offered Sesko a salary that even United would struggle to match. But it might not just be about money. Newcastle could have painted a picture of a club on the rise, where Sesko would be a key part of something special being built. At United, he might just be another signing. At Newcastle, he could be the cornerstone of their future success. Playing time is another factor. At Newcastle, Sesko might be guaranteed to be the main striker from day one. At United, with their larger squad and higher expectations, that guarantee might not exist. The timing factor. The timing of this reported decision is particularly interesting. Why would Sesko change his mind at this stage? One possibility is that Newcastle made a late push with an offer that was simply too good to refuse. Transfer negotiations can change quickly, and perhaps the Magpies presented something that hadn't been on the table before. Another factor could be Newcastle's recent form and direction. While they haven't won any major trophies yet, they've shown steady improvement and have a clear vision for the future. For a young player, being part of that journey might be more appealing than joining a club that's still trying to find its identity. Questions that need answers. Several questions remain about this whole situation. Will Sesko actually join Newcastle, or could this be a negotiation tactic to get a better deal from United? How reliable is the Slovenian newspaper report, especially when it contradicts earlier German sources? Could there be other clubs waiting in the wings to make a surprise move? And perhaps most importantly, what happens next for both Manchester United and Newcastle if this transfer does or doesn't go through? The human side of the story. Behind all the transfer speculation and newspaper reports, there's a young man trying to make the biggest decision of his career so far. Benjamin Sesko is 22 years old, and whatever choice he makes will shape the next few years of his life. Imagine being in his position. You have two big clubs wanting to sign you, both offering different things. Here we go again. Alexander Isak to Man United transfer truth explained as last-ditch move considered. The latest Manchester United transfer news and rumours as Ruben Amorim continues to build his squad. Manchester United and their rivals have just 1 month of the transfer window remaining to make their move as the new Premier League season edges closer. United have so far completed 3 signings, with Diego Leon joining Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo as new arrivals at Old Trafford this summer. The club are now working towards their next deal. The main target has emerged as Red Bull Leipzig striker Benjamin Sesko, with the club looking to add a forward to their squad. United do, however, face competition from Newcastle United. Alexander Isak inquiry. Manchester United have made an inquiry over a possible transfer for Newcastle United striker Alexander Isak in recent days, according to Sky Germany's Florian Plettenberg. The striker has been subject of a bid from Liverpool, totaling a reported £120 million, but that was turned down by Newcastle. Liverpool are said to not be planning to go back with a second bid. The report flags up that Isak has reiterated his desire to join Liverpool, with an inquiry from United turned down by the player. The Manchester Evening News says, despite the reports, I just can't see United having made a move for Isak this summer, even if it's just an initial inquiry. First, there's the price that the transfer would cost. A lack of European football, plus the need to sell to fund transfers and what United have spent so far, means that they are unlikely to be able to get anywhere near the price that Newcastle will demand. Secondly, a lack of European football would again be a big factor. Champions League football is on offer at both Newcastle and Liverpool this season. So it's hard to see one of the best strikers in the world giving that up upon moving clubs this summer. As much as a move for Isak would be a stunning bit of business for United, it is a pipe dream for where the club currently are. Man United target transfer hijack. United could also make a late swoop for Middlesbrough midfielder Hayden Hackney, according to Give Me Sport. Championship club Ipswich Town have had a bid accepted for the player, but United could look to hijack the deal in a last-ditch move. Hackney is said to have not rushed undergoing a medical with the Championship side after a £20 million transfer was agreed, giving United hope of beating Ipswich to the deal. United are said to have watched the player over a long period of time, but the club will have to give Hackney assurances over game time if he chooses to make a move to United. The club also face heavy competition from Tottenham and Everton. The Manchester Evening News says, there can be some real value for money found down in the Championship, and Hackney could be one of them. If they do decide to make a move, United have the advantage of offering up Premier League football over Ipswich. He would provide support and competition to Manuel Ugarte in one of the deeper midfield roles alongside club captain Bruno Fernandes. The summer that could change everything. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to be a Manchester United fan during transfer season? One day you're dreaming about world-class signings, the next you're refreshing your phone every 5 minutes hoping for good news. Well, this summer might just be different. With some big names being linked to Old Trafford, let's dive into what's really happening behind the scenes. The clock is ticking, only 1 month left. Time is running out fast. We're down to the final month of the transfer window, and every day counts. For Manchester United and their manager Ruben Amorim, this isn't just about adding players to the squad. It's about making the right moves that could shape the club's future for years to come. Think about it, how many times have we seen clubs make panic buys in the last few days of the window? United fans know this story all too well. But this time, there's a sense that things are different. The club seems to have a clear plan, and they are working hard to make it happen. United's summer business so far. According to reports, Manchester United have already made 3 big signings this summer. Diego Leon, Matheus Cunha, and Bryan Mbeumo have all joined the Red Devils at Old Trafford. But here's the thing, these signings are just the beginning of what could be a very busy month ahead. Why are these signings important? Well, each player brings something different to the table. Leon adds depth to the squad, while Cunha and Mbeumo offer pace and creativity that United have been missing. But the biggest question on every fan's mind is simple, who's next? The main target, Benjamin Sesko. If you haven't heard of Benjamin Sesko yet, you're about to. The Red Bull Leipzig striker has become Manchester United's #1 target, and it's easy to see why. This young forward has been scoring goals for fun in Germany, and his style of play seems perfect for the Premier League. But what makes Sesko so special? For starters, he's tall, strong, and knows where the goal is. At just 21 years old, he's already proven he can handle pressure and perform when it matters most. The kind of player United desperately need up front. Here's where it gets interesting though. United aren't the only club interested in Sesko. Newcastle United are also in the race, which means this could turn into a proper bidding war. And we all know what happens when 2 big clubs want the same player, the price goes up, and things get complicated. The Alexander Isak situation, a last-ditch move. Now, let's talk about Alexander Isak. The Newcastle United striker has been on everyone's radar this summer, and for good reason. The Swedish international has been one of the Premier League's most consistent goal scorers, and his name keeps popping up in transfer rumours. Recent reports suggest that Manchester United have made an inquiry about Isak. But what does this mean exactly? Well, an inquiry is basically the first step in any transfer. It's when one club calls another and says, hey, would you be interested in selling this player? The interesting part about the Isak story is that Liverpool reportedly made a huge bid for him. We're talking about £120 million. That's serious money. But Newcastle turned it down. They clearly value their star striker highly, and who can blame them? But here's the twist, Liverpool apparently aren't planning to go back with a second bid. This could open the door for Manchester United to make their move. The question is, do they have enough money to convince Newcastle to sell? The competition factor. One thing that makes this transfer window so exciting is the competition between clubs. It's not just about having enough money anymore. Players want to join clubs where they can win trophies, develop their careers, and play with other top players. Manchester United have a big advantage here. They are one of the biggest clubs in the world. The history, the fans, the stadium, all of these things matter to players. But they also need to show that they are building something special for the future. Newcastle, on the other hand, have money and ambition. They are building something new and exciting, and some players might prefer that fresh start. It makes the competition for players like Sesko even more interesting. What this means for United fans. If you're a Manchester United fan reading this, you're probably feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness right now.